Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Dr. Hope Nordstrom, and I am your instructor for this course, Communication and Community. I wanted to walk you through Module 1, our first module on the school, the community, and public relations. As I go through this course content, I apologize ahead of time if you hear the sound of the shuffling of my notes that I have. So the Module 1 readings for this week is to read in your School Community Relations book, or what I like to call SCR, chapters 1 through 3. Once you do this, then I recommend that you continue on with this video. I would not watch the video until you've done the reading. This video content is just to help clarify a few things in the readings and to also add additional information for you guys, and this will be great to help you as you're preparing for your final exam for the course. So the purpose of this course is to help you as an educational leader to be an effective, relevant, and strategic communicator in your school community. You'll notice that the book refers to administrators a lot of times. However, I think everyone has the opportunity in the school to be a leader, an educational leader. So I will try to use that phrase as much as I can. Even if you're not planning on becoming a principal or an assistant principal, you might have the opportunity to become an instructional coach of some sort, team leader or some type of teacher leader in your school. So let's talk a little bit about the power of words. You cannot communicate what you do not understand. Your goal as a communicator is to know precisely what you want to say and make the message easy to comprehend for receivers. A study several years ago of the characteristics of successful young business executives revealed that the breadth and use of one's vocabulary was the primary determinant regarding who made more money over time. That's interesting. There are approximately 1 million words in the English language. The average American adult has a daily speaking writing vocabulary of 40,000 to 50,000 words. Never miss an opportunity to learn a new word and put it into play in your vocabulary. And I came across a couple of really cool quotes about words I want to show you here. One from Nathaniel Hawthorne, and then one from Napoleon Hill. So what exactly is communication? It comes from Latin, which means to share, to make common. I like these two different things. It's a cooperative enterprise requiring the mutual interchange of ideas and information. And then from Cooley, the mechanism through which human relations exist and develop. But also, let's look specifically at leadership communication, and this came from Deborah Barrett, and she said leadership communication is the controlled, purposeful transfer of meaning by which individuals influence a single person, a group, an organization, or a community by using the full range of their communication abilities and resources to connect positively with their audiences, overcoming interferences, and create and deliver messages that guide, direct, motivate, or inspire others to action. And since this is a leadership course and it's a communication course, we're going to be focusing a lot throughout this term on leadership communication. So why school community relations? Educators are being scrutinized. Public schools are not the only option. Parents are more apt to question decisions by educational leaders. Taxpayers must be educated on the importance of funding education. Administrators must be prepared to deal with the teacher associations or unions that provide public relations help for members. Administrators must communicate more effectively to curb violence eruptions in schools. It's grown rapidly, the school community relations, in recent years. Today's parents are better educated themselves and more apt to question school policies, curricula, and instruction. A school administrator may provide excellent leadership within a school environment when it comes to curriculum and instruction, but if that educational leader cannot communicate with the school board, concerned taxpayers, groups, or the staff, his or her days of service in that leadership post will be quickly numbered. So let's look now, and there's a little bit about why school-community relationships. Sorry, I didn't advance the slide there. So reasons educators communicate poorly. First, there's a misunderstanding that communication is more than disseminating information. They're not used to competing for people's attention. Maybe they're unprepared for the public's increasing interest in their activities. Maybe minimize the value of outside opinion. And many have minimal communication experience and meaningful communications training at all. Right there's what I just said. Many educators overestimate their knowledge and understanding of communication, collaboration, and community relations because they have spent significant time in their careers talking to students. The reasons listed above underscore the importance of educational leaders being lifelong learners when it comes to communication. School administrators lead a fishbowl existence in the community and constantly affect the public perception of education. With the competition for public funds at the local, state, and national levels, educational leaders must be effective spokespersons for education. The bottom line is that people working in the schools that don't attract students will not have jobs. No matter what you call it, whether public relations, community relations, communications, educational leaders must be committed to better two-way communication with all the audiences served by the school. So let's talk a little bit about how to improve public confidence in leadership. Here are some ways that you can do that. Be effective at what you do. I love this. Make communication a two-way process. Tell the challenges and successes. Trust is really, really important here. Take seriously. Don't ignore it. Personalize it. Work on staff morale. Comfortable vocabulary that doesn't go over people's heads. Build coalitions and support with all stakeholders. A comment or two of about the items above. At its core, leadership is about building trust. Nothing builds trust like doing one's job effectively and consistently, making communication a two-way process in which you likely do more listening than talking. Another way to build trust is to never gloss over the challenges. Educate your publics appropriately regarding the tough issues. When you read personalize, think customer service. All school personnel must play a role in shaping positive public perceptions by extending outstanding customer service. Pay attention to internal morale. School employees will either be your greatest ambassadors or detractors as they live and talk in the community. Treat all members of the community with respect, taking advantage of all opportunities to be an ambassador for your school. A great way to do this is to develop a communication plan. Educational leaders must be intentional and proactive regarding communication and public relations. And no matter what level you're at, these educational leaders need to have a communication plan in place that is comprehensive, properly funded, and continually modified based on needs and issues. Having a plan in place implies some type of written document. Committing thoughts to text helps to formalize communication goals and processes in the work environment. In fact, I recently had the opportunity, right after Dr. McQueen decided to transition from our dean in the College of Education to our new state commissioner of education. Probably within 2 days, she had already developed a communication plan for herself as she was taking on this new role. And as I was working on developing this course, I immediately took note of that and wanted to share that personal story with you. So don't forget about the public character of the school. Schools belong to the community. People pay taxes for school support. Community members receive formal education for themselves and their children. Community members receive indirect benefits that come to society from literate and well-prepared population. Shared ownership, notice that term, shared ownership, for schools implies responsibilities and an understanding of issues for both administrators and citizens. Citizens must be supplied with accurate and adequate information about the schools. Every public school leader must fully appreciate the public nature of the environment in which they work, as well as the public's right to know. So what exactly is public opinion? Public opinion is any widespread belief or consensus arrived at by members of one or more groups, or as prevailing customs and traditions handed down by previous generations. So community relations help shape public opinions about the community regarding schools. So it's really important to have a good community relations program with the community. So let's look at two primary purposes of school community relations programs. The first one is to foster student achievement. That's what we're here for, student learning, student achievement. And you do this through the establishment of positive school climate and parent and citizen involvement. The second primary purpose of school community relations program is to build citizen knowledge and understanding, leading to community and financial support. At the end of the day, everything an educational leader does to enhance school community relations must be done with the best interests of students in mind. And in the SCR book, they talked about 4 models of public relations, and this was Grenig and Hunt. The first way was the press agentry publicity, which is one-way communication with propaganda. The second one is public information, one-way dissemination of truthful information. Then there was two-way asymmetric, where the communicator gets public feedback, tries to persuade the public to accept the organization's point of view. And then two-way symmetric. I guess the first one was asymmetric and then symmetric. See, I'm not communicating very well. But communicator is a go-between. For the two-way symmetric, communicator is go-between. Info flows both ways. There's a mutual understanding, that's the goal, and persuasion's a byproduct. These are the 4 fundamental paths that a school leader can take when it comes to school community relations. In contemporary school community relation programs, ongoing two-way symmetric communication is the goal. And there's the little summary of all 4 of those models of public relations. So let's look at what I mean by educational community relations. That's the management systemic, continuous, two-way, honest communication between an educational organization and its publics. Well, one of the first things that you need to do is understand the community. You've got to look at power structures, ways decisions are made, all of these friendlies and unfriendlies, leaders of influence, expectations. Before trying to communicate, school leaders must study the intended audience for the message. It is vital that school administrators know these various components of the community. Information regarding the makeup of the community should be collected on topics such as the ones listed above. Information can be collected in a variety of ways, like forums, advisory committees, panels, key communicators from the community, public opinion surveys, questionnaires, personal interviews, and electronic surveys. So let's look at some general community relations responsibilities for all employees of a district. There are 3 general community relations obligations. Number 1, do a good job. Good school community relations programs begin in the classroom. Also, have a fundamental knowledge of the school system, especially as it pertains to spheres of influence. Also, have a fundamental knowledge of the community and its views toward education. It is a mistake to think that educational leaders should shoulder total responsibility for healthy school community relations. School community relations is a shared responsibility. All employees share in the responsibilities above. Now let's look at some specific community relations responsibilities for teachers. First one, be a good teacher. Develop good relations with pupils, parents, and community. Work cooperatively with colleagues. That collaboration piece comes in play here. Participate in community affairs. Be visible. Be out in the community. If available, work appropriately with the Director of Community Relations and help develop an individual community relation program for a school, often done through a committee. So if you don't have a community relations plan at your school, maybe you can work with the administrator to develop one. Because of daily contacts with members of different publics, particularly students, teachers are the frontline interpreters of the school system. Their words and behavior carry great weight in the minds of students, parents, and community members. Let's look at some specific responsibilities for other personnel. All school personnel are contact points for various publics. Each has a sphere of influence. So specialists like subject specialists, counselors, school psychologists, social workers, librarians, nurses, and doctors. Support personnel, clerical personnel, maintenance personnel, bus drivers, and cafeteria workers. Many of the community relations responsibilities of specialists and support personnel parallel those of the teachers. Others are unique. I think about this with specific community relations is that when you walk into a school building to go to the front office, the way that you're greeted can sometimes have an important role in how people think about the school and the community. Let's also talk about some direct and indirect training opportunities for employees. So direct could include some orientation programs, in-service courses, workshops, clinics, faculty meetings, indirect handbooks, publications, checklist. Those are some different types of direct and indirect training opportunities. And with that, school leaders should plan and budget for ongoing training when it comes to communication and community relations. It is highly difficult to receive too much training in this area. So this was just an introduction to several things we're going to be talking about throughout this course. If you have any questions about the course content, feel free to, ask me a question. Also, think about this information as you're responding to your discussion board posts throughout the course as well. Thanks, and have a great week.